The High Court has ruled that a decision by the board of Wilson's Hospital School to suspend teacher Enoch Burke from his position in August 2022 was correct and lawful. The school had asked the High Court to find that it was correct to place Mr. Burke on paid administrative leave pending the outcome of a disciplinary process against him. Mr. Burke had argued that the disciplinary process, his suspension and the subsequent decision to dismiss him were unlawful. Mr. Justice Alexander Owens ruled that in the light of what the board knew about Mr. Burke's actions towards the end of the previous academic year and his behaviour at the Board of Management meeting, apprehension that he would engage in harmful or disruptive conduct if permitted to teach was, quote, rational and reasonable. The judge said that the board was entitled to take into account that Enoch Burke did not address the issue of how he would behave in the school. He said that there was no evidence that any relevant matter was not duly considered or that any irrelevant matter was taken into account by the board in arriving at its decision. However, the decision makers knew about the allegations and the relevant issues to make a valid decision on whether or not to suspend Mr. Burke, according to Mr. Justice Owens. He also ruled that Enoch Burke had no right to enter the school once suspended and that his attendance thereafter was trespass. He said the school was entitled to a permanent injunction prohibiting Enoch Burke from entering the premises. He also awarded the school €15,000 in damages for trespass, in addition to the daily fines imposed for breach of court orders. The judge said that the continuing trespass and deliberate disruption caused by entering the school during the school hours were significant aggravating factors which made it proper to award more than nominal damages. When it comes to the question of costs, the judge also said his provisional view was that costs of the action should be awarded against Mr. Burke. A date may be fixed for a costs hearing. The judge has invited submissions, I think within 28 days or 30 days or thereabouts, as to costs. Mr. Burke was suspended from Westmead School, the secondary school, last year. He was the subject of a High Court injunction. He was put in place pending the outcome of a full hearing of the dispute over his failure to comply with the terms of the suspension, which required him to stay away from the school while he was on administrative leave. His continued refusal to comply with those orders resulted in him being found in contempt of court and incarceration for 108 days. Following his release from prison, he continued to breach the injunction and was being subjected to a daily fine of €700. He was also dismissed by the school following a disciplinary hearing. That decision is currently under appeal. Mr. Burke denied any wrongdoing, saying that his suspension arises out of his opposition to transgenderism and a direction by the school to refer to a student who wishes to transition by a different pronoun. In a counterclaim, he said that the disciplinary process against him should be set aside and that it breaches his constitutional rights, including his right to freedom of expression of his religious beliefs. However, my understanding is that he didn't actually pursue his counterclaim, and therefore the judge felt that he was not obliged to make any decision in that regard, and said that the question of unconstitutionality involved in the decision of the school and infringing upon his rights to profess his religion and so on, those issues did not arise because Mr. Burke did not pursue his counterclaim. That's the substantive issue between Wilson's Hospital School and Enoch Burke. That is, the decision to suspend Mr. Burke was the correct one. It was reasonable and rational according to the Mr. Justice Alexander Owens, and where Mr. Burke goes from here remains to be seen. Obviously, it's open to him perhaps to appeal this decision to the Court of Appeal or elsewhere, but that's where we are today.